I know I'd beat him. It's funny because I got laughed at for it, but I know I'd beat him.
Yeah, but that's what separates you from the other guys.
Yeah.
From the other guys, isn't it?
I don't know I'd beat him, man.
Paddy Pimblett claims he would not only beat Ilia Topuria, but brutally expose the undefeated champion's biggest weakness.
We've already talked about a game plan to beat him, man. I don't know how to beat him. No one goes for his weaknesses when he fights up. Everyone just tries to have a boxing match with him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come out and have a boxing match with him.
Pimblett made a bold declaration that raised eyebrows across the MMA world. He believes he knows exactly how to beat Ilia Topuria. Many laughed at the claim, especially considering Topuria's flawless and dominant 16-0 run as a professional fighter, which includes victories over some of the UFC's best. But Pimblett is adamant that if the two are matched up later this year, he not only has the game plan to win, but the confidence that he will.
If Ilia wins and says he wants to fight me, the UFC will make that fight.
I think so.
Because they know it's a money fight. As Ben was saying, that's like one of them fights where they were world press tour lad, like McGregor Aldo. I know I'd beat him. It's funny because I got laughed at for it, but I know I'd beat him.
Yeah, but that's what separates you from the other guys.
Yeah.
From the other guys, isn't it?
I don't know I'd beat him, man. We've already talked about a game plan to beat him, man. I don't know how to beat him. No one goes for his weaknesses when he fights up. Everyone just tries to have a boxing match with him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come out and have a boxing match with him. I'm going to beat him with my all-round MMA game. And as I said, no, I'd beat him, man. And I reckon I'd proper hate him and just shut everyone up even more like I love to do.
Pimblett, who has yet to fully convince critics that he belongs among the elite in the UFC lightweight division, is convinced that Topuria is beatable. In a conversation with fellow UK star Tom Aspinall, Pimblett shared that he's already discussed tactics to exploit Topuria's weaknesses. While many fighters choose to strike with Topuria in a boxing-heavy style, Pimblett insists he would take a different approach. He plans to utilize his full mixed martial arts arsenal rather than trying to outbox a knockout artist. The English fighter, currently on a 9-fight win streak and undefeated in the UFC with a 7-0 record, believes that a win over Topuria would shut down critics and cement his place among the division's elite.
This is how we win. We game plan, we use our fight IQ, and we beat motherfuckers up. Anyone else got any questions?
Who would you like to fight next?
Anyone in the top 4, top 5? I want that world title. All laugh all you want and say I'll never be champ. Just like you said, I'll never get ranked. I'll never be on the top 10. Well, what now, you gang of mushrooms? Dustin, Justin, Charles, or the little posh boy Armin. Charles is the biggest legend out of them all, and he gets called the best submitting artist the UFC's ever seen. Well, I dispute that. I'm here. So me versus Charles.
On the other side, Ilia Topuria is not one to back down from verbal sparring, especially when it comes to Paddy Pimblett. The animosity between them isn't new. It dates back years, including tense moments backstage and jabs exchanged at press conferences. Topuria still holds on to the time Pimblett boasted about fighting on the main card, while Topuria was relegated to the prelims, something that now seems ironic given Topuria's meteoric rise. He currently sits at the top of the sport, undefeated and on the verge of a historic accomplishment, becoming a 2-division UFC champion. Topuria recently vacated his featherweight belt to move up to lightweight, placing him and Pimblett in the same division for the first time.
Bueno, está Paddy, por ejemplo.
Él es otro hipócrita, yo te lo digo. Yo recuerdo una vez compartimos una rueda de prensa y él me dijo una cosa que era: mira, yo estoy peleando en el main card, tú estás peleando en los preliminares, tipo una bobada así. Y yo ahora me pregunto, yo tengo 2 cinturones, ¿tú dónde estás? ¿Sabes? ¿Quién es Paddy Pimblett ahora mismo? ¿Y por qué se tendría que merecer ahora mismo pelear conmigo? La verdad que si pudiera yo elegir una pelea, pelearía con él porque cae fatal, la verdad. Cae como el culo. Y a mí me encantaría regalarle ese combate a todos los fanáticos porque...
Despite his disdain for Pimblett, Topuria wouldn't turn down the fight. In fact, he said if given the choice, he'd choose Paddy as his next opponent purely out of hatred. For him, it's personal. With a heated rivalry rooted in genuine dislike, Topuria feels the matchup would give fans something real, two fighters who actually want to hurt each other. That intensity, he believes, would make for one of the most compelling fights in recent UFC history. But even though he's interested, Topuria doesn't think Pimblett deserves the matchup based on merit alone. From his perspective, he's the reigning two-weight king, and Pimblett still has something to prove. That said, he doesn't doubt the outcome if they were to fight. He predicts the same result as every other opponent he's faced, a dominant, devastating finish.
Desde hace mucho tiempo yo creo que dentro de la UFC no se ve una pelea de verdad. Dos personas que de verdad se quieren pegar. Y qué mejor que pegarse delante de todo el mundo y regalarles un espectáculo. Yo sé lo que va a pasar. Y no va a ser ningún bien para él.
¿Qué va a pasar?
While a future clash between Pimblett and Topuria seems like a natural storyline, the Spanish-Georgian striker has more immediate business to handle. He's set to fight Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 for the vacant lightweight championship. The matchup is massive, and Topuria has already started the psychological warfare, sending Oliveira a message on social media reminding him not to forget his pillow, an ominous nod to the brutal knockouts Topuria has delivered in the past.
Charles Oliveira has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought. What happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? Ilia Topuria goes high-low. He can go to the body. He can go up top. We saw him one time at 155 pounds where he did get hurt, but the matador in him, he came back and he ended up knocking him out. Charles Oliveira is the bigger fighter, taking down Michael Chandler, taking down Justin Gaethje with those beautiful double legs. Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ. It's going to be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a two-division world champion.
Topuria's recent resume speaks for itself. He knocked out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway in succession, showcasing the same explosive power that has defined his entire career. Entering UFC 317, he's brimming with confidence. That's not just self-belief, it's been backed up by highlight reel finishes and strategic excellence. But while Topuria may view this fight as another step in his undefeated journey, Charles Oliveira sees things differently.
É importante, considerando com quem você vai lutar no próximo.
Sim, com
Falam
certeza.
muito do poder da mão dele, mas a sua também.
É um cara duro, como eu falei. Tá vindo da categoria de baixo, então tem que respeitar as pesos leves.
He's coming for the featherweights, you need to respect these lightweights.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, you're probably one of the hardest hitting light. Do you think you hit harder than Ilia?
Com certeza.
For sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The Brazilian, widely known as Du Bronx, is the most prolific finisher in UFC history and isn't fazed by Topuria's hype. He's fought some of the hardest hitters in the division, fighters like Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier, and emerged victorious, often after being hurt early in the fights. Oliveira has built a career on resilience, recovery, and ruthless finishing ability both on the ground and the feet. He remains confident in his own power and striking, asserting that people underestimate how hard he hits.
The thing about Oliveira is everybody looks at Oliveira at his lowest points. In his lowest points, Cub Swanson knocked him out, Paul Felder smashed him, all these people beat him, but something happened when that dude had a kick. And there's a fire inside of him like the center of the sun. And I don't know what it is, man, but he's a different human, man. He goes right into the line of fire, too. Straight. He's not taking any shortcuts. It's all risk. And he's 100% confident. Doesn't matter how hard you hit him, he's going to be fine.
Despite his confidence, several analysts have voiced concern about Oliveira's style, particularly how it might backfire against someone like Topuria. Former middleweight champion and UFC analyst Michael Bisping pointed out that Oliveira's aggressive approach, while thrilling to fans, could make him vulnerable. He often walks forward with little head movement and a high chin, which has led to him being knocked down in previous fights. Against a precise and powerful striker like Topuria, those tendencies could be costly.
I am leaning towards Ilia Topuria. I think the power in the hands is significant. Of course, he has the wrestling to probably be able to stop the takedowns, but more importantly, he's coming up to 155. I say this all the time. Everybody should move up a weight class and stop cutting so much weight. Remember, Charles Oliveira used to fight at 145, came up to 55, reinvented himself, became one of the most exciting fighters, and of course was a champion. So it's not like Charles Oliveira is going to have some massive size advantage. Ilia Topuria, in the footage that we've seen online, he looks big, he looks bulked up, he's going to be able to hit harder, he'll take a better shot, the cardio is going to be better, and just all round, he will be a much more improved athlete. Everybody should move up a weight class. I've said this a million times, I won't go on about it. However, as I say, I'm leaning towards Ilia, but anything can happen in a mixed martial arts fight.
Bisping compared their styles in detail. detail. He described Topuria as composed, technical, and dangerous. The Spaniard keeps his hands high, uses movement to cut off the cage, and explodes when he finds an opening. That methodical yet aggressive style has allowed him to dismantle opponents with surgical precision. In contrast, Oliveira's shoot-box-inspired approach involves charging forward, throwing wild combinations, knees, and elbows, often at the expense of defensive awareness. While fans love it, it's the same style that has seen him clipped multiple times, even in fights he eventually won.
Ilia versus Charles Du Bronx Oliveira. We know Charles, he's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch. He's gonna walk forward, punches, knees, elbows, he'll lock on a submission. Ilia, this is his first fight at lightweight, and with the punching power of Ilia Topuria, the boxing that he has, the footwork that he has, and the Greco-Roman wrestling, it wouldn't surprise me if Ilia pulls it off.
Sean O'Malley also weighed in on the upcoming Topuria versus Oliveira matchup. For him, the fight is as close as they come, a true coin flip. He admitted that while his heart wants to side with Oliveira, his brain says Topuria might be too much. O'Malley emphasized that Oliveira always has a chance, given his track record of comebacks and his dangerous skill set, but he also acknowledged that Oliveira gets hit a lot, and that's a dangerous gamble against someone who hits like Topuria.
Could I get your read on how Topuria versus Oliveira plays out?
Man, that's one where your heart's telling you, you know, Charles, and your brain's telling you Ilia. It's just that one's a coin flip. Can't count Charles out. Ilia's on an absolute tear. You know, Charles does get hit and Ilia cracks. That fight I am very excited for.
Among those backing Topuria is fellow contender Arman Tsarukyan. Despite acknowledging that the bout may be more competitive than most fans anticipate, Tsarukyan highlighted Topuria's proven ability to finish fights as the key difference maker. He pointed out that Oliveira has struggled in the past against strong wrestlers and technically sound boxers, two areas where Topuria excels. In Tsarukyan's eyes, Topuria's well-rounded approach, which blends crisp striking with timely takedowns, should allow him to dictate the pace and location of the fight, whether standing or on the ground.
Topuria, Oliveira.
Очень тяжелый бой, но все-таки я думаю, что Topuria сможет финишировать Оливейра.
А можешь представить, чтобы Оливейра затащил Топурию вниз и там уже финишировал его?
Да, конечно, Оливейра очень опасный, с любой позиции может душить. Но просто перевести у Оливейра не такая вольная борьба. Допустим, моя работа, да, я люблю переводить. То есть я его перевожу, и он может контратаку какую-то сделать, там, душающую взять, как он взял меня там. То есть это возни не будет. Topuria просто будет работать, боксировать, не будет пытаться его переводить, так как у него намного лучше бокс, чем у Оливейры. А у Оливейры, мне кажется, недостаточно вольной борьбы, чтобы перевести Topuria.
Luke Thomas offered a broader perspective, adding nuance to the matchup's significance. He admitted that some fans were initially hoping for a showdown between Topuria and Islam Makhachev, but insisted that the Oliveira fight brings just as much intrigue. Thomas highlighted the stylistic clash as a major reason for excitement. Oliveira's high-risk, aggressive approach is a direct contrast to Topuria's disciplined, powerful striking game. He also discussed the potential ripple effects of Makhachev moving up to welterweight, which could lead to blockbuster bouts against fighters like Jack Della Maddalena, Sean Brady, or even Khamzat Chimaev, signaling a larger shakeup across weight divisions.
Number one fight that could have been made among all permutations was Islam Ilia. That's the best fight that could have been made. But the point I've been trying to make is that while that would be the most desirable one to choose, it's not like you're getting something bad even though you're not getting it. In other words, Topuria against Oliveira for the lightweight belt is fire. I don't care what anybody else says. It's fire. And then I've been saying this whole time, Islam going up to 170 and seeing how he matches up there with Della Maddalena, potentially Brady, potentially Rachmanov, potentially Gary, potentially Buckley. I mean, any number of ways in which that could go. That is incredibly exciting.
Still, not everyone is sold on Topuria's readiness for a fight of this magnitude. Tim Welch, known for his strategic insights, expressed concern about the timing of Topuria's leap into a title bout at lightweight. While Topuria has looked flawless at featherweight, Welch questioned whether he's had enough high-level experience at 155 pounds to take on a fighter as seasoned as Oliveira. He emphasized that Oliveira's aggressive, upright style style, featuring knees and long-range strikes, could disrupt Topuria's more compact and boxing-centered rhythm. For Welch, the risk lies in whether Topuria's skill set translates smoothly against someone as unorthodox and battle-tested as Oliveira.
That's a dangerous fight. Rab calls it stupid to make Ilia Topuria fight Charles Oliveira before Islam Makhachev.
How is that?
Ilia Topuria says he got promised that he would fight for the title if he vacates.
By who? The security guard outside his room?
Yeah, he kind of hinted that he got promised that. I feel like Charles, Ilia, I think Ilia might back.
Michael Chandler, who has personally faced Oliveira twice, brought a unique angle to the discussion. Despite being known for his own knockout power and clean technique, Chandler acknowledged how difficult it is to put Oliveira away. He recognized Topuria's striking as sharp and potentially more precise, but stressed that Oliveira's resilience, coupled with his striking improvements and elite submission threats, make him far more than just a grappler. Chandler believes that Oliveira can trade punches with the best and survive in chaotic exchanges, something Topuria hasn't yet faced at lightweight.
Lightweight division is being turned on its head. Islam Makhachev vacated. He's going to welterweight. We have a title fight pretty much a month away exactly right now for the vacant belt between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. I guess, are you surprised this is the way everything played out, from Islam not keeping the belt and it being like an interim or something to the fight we ultimately got for the vacant title?
No, I'm not surprised. You know, and I think maybe some of those rumors and stuff maybe played into my decision on why I wanted to fight Paddy, why I wanted to get back in there. Obviously, if you look at the timing, I should have had a win against Oliveira. I messed that up. I should have had a win against Paddy. I messed that up. I've had these great opportunities and they've just slipped through my fingertips. So if I would have beat Charles, I would be fighting Ilia for the title right now, you know, but this is the way the sport goes. I'm not surprised at all the craziness that's happening. I'm happy Ilia came up to 155. I'm happy Max is at 155. You got Poirier. Shoot, you got Poirier leaving the sport here in the next 6 weeks or whatever it is, which is crazy. You got Gaethje, you got Paddy. There's a bunch of different stuff going on. So I'll be cage side for that fight to watch it, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, who do you think is going to win?
Man, it's tough. You don't bet against freaking Charles Oliveira because he's so dang good everywhere, and he's a really hard guy to beat. With that being said, Ilia Topuria's got some crazy power in his hands and crazy accurate strikes. So it'll be very interesting to see how that fight goes.
Mateus Gamrot also leaned in Oliveira's direction, citing physicality and experience as key factors. Having fought top-tier lightweights for years, Oliveira brings a level of comfort and durability that Topuria hasn't had the chance to test. Gamrot argued that Oliveira's size and depth of experience in high-stakes battles might create problems that Topuria's still evolving lightweight game may not be fully prepared for. Both fighters hit hard, but Gamrot suggested Oliveira's wider skill set and veteran presence could ultimately tilt the fight in his favor.
Next month, the lightweight championship is on the line. Ilia and Charles, who do you have?
Very interesting matchup. Both guys has power and skills to get the win this fight. Like Ilia can knock him out, the Oliveira. He has heavy hands for sure. But also Charles Oliveira has a lot of good tools to beat Ilia in the ground, in the feet, everywhere. But I think Oliveira is really big guy. Ilia is short guy, and I think this is gonna be much different than the both guys. And I think that this is gonna be advantage for Charles Oliveira, and he can win.
Beneil Dariush, another top contender who was finished by Oliveira, reinforced this idea. He noted that Oliveira's clinch work, knees, and wild exchanges can disrupt traditional boxers.
I think Charles is really tough. I think he's got a good chin. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got great striking. And what's going to be difficult for Ilia is Charles's striking is, I think, really dangerous against boxers, against good boxers. The way he throws his knees, the way he, clinches, and those are things you can do to slow down Ilia. Because, for example, a good boxer will dip low to fake or feint to go get in on the inside, and that's times where Charles will just raise his knee and mess with your timing, or throw a kick, things like that. So I think the fight's a lot closer. I understand why people are favoring Ilia, and I think if you had to ask me, I probably would favor him as well. But I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, he's gonna walk through through Charles like everybody thinks.
All eyes are now on UFC 317, where Topuria and Oliveira will finally settle the debate in the octagon. If Topuria wins, he not only cements his place as a two-division champion, but also opens the door to potentially settling his long-standing feud with Paddy Pimblett. On the other hand, if Oliveira comes out on top, he begins a new chapter in his already storied career and reminds everyone that experience, heart, and finishing instinct still matter. The rivalry between these two fighters has been years in the making. With Topuria now in the lightweight division and Pimblett closing in on a title shot, all the pieces are in place. Whether it happens late this year or early next, fans can look forward to a matchup built on more than rankings and records. It's personal, and both men are convinced they'll be the one who comes out on top.